Summary of Chapter 5 of You Become What You Think. Chapter 5 of You Become What You Think focuses on the importance of self-belief, confidence, and inner identity. In the earlier chapters, the author explains how thoughts shape life, how habits are formed, and how emotional discipline creates strength. In this chapter, the discussion moves toward a deeper understanding of how people see themselves and how self-image affects success, relationships, and personal growth. The author explains that many people fail not because they lack ability, but because they do not believe in themselves. Fear, comparison, insecurity, and negative self-image slowly weaken human potential. The central message of Chapter 5 is, the way you see yourself determines the way you live your life. The chapter encourages readers to develop confidence from within instead of depending entirely on external approval. 1. Self-image shapes reality. The chapter begins by explaining the concept of self-image. Self-image means the mental picture a person has about himself. A person may consciously want success, happiness, or confidence, but if deep inside he believes, I am weak, I am not good enough, or I cannot succeed, then those beliefs influence behavior automatically. The author explains that people often behave according to the identity they carry internally. For example, someone who sees himself as disciplined behaves more responsibly. Someone who sees himself as a failure may avoid opportunities. Someone who believes she is valuable develops stronger confidence. The chapter teaches that changing life begins with changing self-perception too. Lack of confidence limits potential. A major topic in this chapter is low self-confidence. The author explains that many individuals have talent and intelligence, but they fail to use their abilities because of fear and insecurity. Low confidence causes people to avoid challenges, remain silent, fear criticism, doubt decisions, and underestimate themselves. The chapter says people often become prisoners of their own negative thinking. The author encourages readers to stop constantly insulting themselves mentally. Negative self-talk such as, I always fail, I am not smart enough, nobody values me, gradually destroys confidence and motivation. 3. Confidence is built, not born. One important lesson in the chapter is that confidence is not something people are simply born with. Confidence develops through action, learning, discipline, experience, and repeated effort. The author explains that even successful people once felt nervous, insecure, or afraid. The difference is that they continued acting despite fear. Confidence grows when people face challenges, improve skills, learn from mistakes, and prove to themselves that growth is possible. Avoiding every difficult situation keeps fear alive. 4. Comparison destroys inner peace. The chapter strongly discusses the problem of comparison. The author explains that constantly comparing oneself with others creates jealousy, insecurity, sadness, and frustration. Modern life encourages people to compare appearance, money, achievements, relationships, and social status. However, comparison often creates emotional suffering because every person has a different journey. The chapter teaches that true growth comes from self-improvement rather than competition. Instead of asking, why am I not like them? People should ask, how can I become a better version of myself? 5. Stop seeking constant approval. Another major theme in Chapter 5 is the desire for validation. Many people shape their lives according to public opinion, social pressure, fear of criticism, or the need for acceptance. The author explains that this weakens individuality and confidence. People become emotionally dependent on praise, attention, or approval from others. As a result, criticism hurts deeply, rejection feels unbearable, and confidence becomes unstable. The chapter encourages readers to build self-respect internally instead of depending completely on external validation. 6. Fear of failure prevents success. The chapter discusses how fear of failure stops many people from reaching their potential. People avoid starting businesses, learning skills, speaking publicly, expressing creativity, or chasing dreams because they fear making mistakes. The author explains that failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. Every experienced person has failed multiple times. The chapter teaches that mistakes provide lessons, experience, maturity, and improvement. A person who never risks failure often remains stuck in the same place. 7. Your inner voice matters. The author emphasizes the importance of internal dialogue. Every person constantly speaks to himself mentally throughout the day. This inner voice can either strengthen confidence or destroy it. Negative inner dialogue creates emotional weakness. Examples: I cannot do this. I am embarrassing. I will fail again. Positive inner dialogue creates mental strength. Examples: I can improve. I will learn through practice. I can handle difficulties. Chapter encourages readers to become aware of their mental conversations and replace destructive thinking with constructive thinking. 8. Discipline creates self-respect. The chapter explains that discipline improves self-confidence. When people break promises to themselves, procrastinate, waste time, or avoid responsibility, they slowly lose self-respect internally. On the other hand, discipline creates pride and inner strength. Examples include waking up on time, exercising regularly, learning consistently, controlling negative habits, completing important work. The author explains that confidence grows naturally when people become reliable to themselves. 9. Success starts with belief. The chapter repeatedly emphasizes belief. Before people achieve anything externally, they usually must first believe improvement is possible internally. The author says, belief creates effort, effort creates skill, skill creates results, and results strengthen belief further. Without self-belief, people often quit too early. The chapter encourages readers to trust the process of growth even when progress is slow. 10. Negative labels can become mental prisons. Another important topic in the chapter is labeling. People are often labeled during life: weak, average, unsuccessful, unintelligent, or incapable. Sometimes these labels come from family, teachers, society, or personal failures. The author warns that accepting negative labels permanently can limit human potential. A person is not defined forever by past mistakes, failures, financial condition, or others' opinions. Growth remains possible at every stage of life. 11. Courage is more important than perfection. The chapter explains that many people delay action because they want perfection. They wait for perfect confidence, perfect skills, perfect conditions, or perfect timing. As a result, they never begin. The author teaches that courage matters more than perfection. Real progress happens when people start despite fear, improve gradually, and learn through experience. Perfectionism often hides fear of judgment. 12. Gratitude improves self-worth. The chapter also discusses gratitude and self-worth. People who constantly focus on what they lack often feel emotionally empty. Gratitude helps people recognize personal progress, strengths, opportunities, supportive relationships, and life experiences. The author explains that gratitude reduces insecurity because it shifts focus away from constant comparison and dissatisfaction. 13. Positive company builds confidence. The chapter again emphasizes environment. Supportive people can strengthen confidence through encouragement, belief, positivity, and inspiration. Negative people weaken confidence through criticism, mockery, jealousy, and discouragement. The author advises readers to spend more time with individuals who motivate growth rather than those who constantly spread negativity. 14. Your future identity is being built daily. Toward the end of the chapter, the author explains that identity is shaped daily through thoughts, actions, habits, and choices. Every day people either strengthen confidence, discipline, courage, and self-respect, or strengthen fear, laziness, insecurity, and negativity. The chapter teaches that personality is not fixed. Human beings can consciously rebuild themselves through consistent mental and behavioral improvement. Main message of Chapter 5. The central message of Chapter 5 is, the relationship you have with yourself determines the quality of your confidence, decisions, and future. The author wants readers to understand that self-belief is essential, confidence grows through action, comparison destroys peace, and identity shapes behavior. People become stronger when they stop depending completely on external validation and begin developing inner confidence. Final conclusion. Chapter 5 of You Become What You Think teaches that confidence and self-worth are created internally through thoughts, discipline, action, and self-belief. The chapter encourages readers to stop negative self-talk, overcome fear of failure, avoid constant comparison, build discipline, and believe in personal growth. The author explains that every person has hidden potential, but that potential can only grow when individuals stop limiting themselves mentally. The entire chapter can be summarized in one sentence. When you begin believing in your own value and potential, your actions, confidence, and life direction start changing positively.